We're back.
Hey, here we are.
Welcome to the Strategic Shift. This is one of your hosts, Priscilla Scott,
I'm Diane Desio.
and we are here talking about all of the wonderful changes in our lives and in the lives of many, many business owners for business and for personal reasons.
Yes.
So, very fortunate to have gone through the things that we have gone through. And honestly, with the climate today, one of the things before we recorded this that you and I were talking about off camera was just like, what does a business owner do when cash on hand is limited?
So, you really got to take every day. When you start a business, it is no days off at the beginning when you first get it started. If you are sitting around and not doing the thing, then that's mistake number one. It's always something that has to be done, whether it's marketing on social media, talking to people, getting out, meeting people, joining groups that have to do with your business. So I think that you shouldn't have any free time when you have a business.
So that's a really, even though we're mainly talking about like cash and finances for business today, I want to take a moment to talk about that in particular because I was talking to a client who has a startup business but has been in business for over 30 years, right? And same thing for me. I went from having, assistants and people who would do certain tasks for me to now owning my own business. I am the assistant. I am the marketing person. I am the one to do all of the things. Okay. So, one of the things that I was talking about with a client who has a startup, and it's two business partners. One can get a little bit overwhelmed because she's used to having, assistants and travel agents, and where she would just show up. But now in doing this startup, you become the assistant, you become the janitor, you become the receptionist, the marketer, the financial analyst, especially in a startup. So it is a lot of pressure. And you're right. If you have free time, you're not doing something right. Not if you're just out of the gate. Long term, once you're scaling your business and you have systems in place and processes and teams, yes, that is what you want. But in the beginning,
at the beginning, you have to put that work in.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And I've seen a lot of businesses fail because of it, or they spend too much and they're not marketing. I've seen a lot of businesses, especially in the beauty industry, where they spend all this money on equipment and the look and the whole thing. But then when it comes to marketing, they're like, oh, I got to spend 10,000 on marketing or 5,000. Like they're not even looking at that like as an investment.
So my girl crush is Cody Sanchez. She does like some phenomenal like business trainings, a lot of business insight. Like I follow her and I do some of her webinars. And I did one of her webinars recently, and what she said was, and she quoted somebody else, so it's a secondary quote, but it's very, very valuable. It's, if you're good at product, you'll never need to market. If you're good at marketing, you'll never need sales, but you have to start at sales.
Yeah.
And a lot of business owners are very removed from sales, and then they're wondering why they're not making any money. Well, because you're not selling anything. You're not selling your services or your products. And so there will come a point in time where you will be able to transition to just focus on your customers, just focus on your product. But in the beginning, you do have to focus on sales,
right,
and making money.
And then I know a lot of people, they think they could start a business and just place somebody in there and like it's just going to run, and if you found the right person that has that drive, but they're not going to have that drive for your business like you do. It's impossible for them to have that drive. It's just, but as going back to, what do you do when you don't have money? What do you do when you run out and, you don't want your business to fail? What would you do if you literally ran out of money, you put everything into just starting it, what would you do?
I honestly, I would just start looking for money. Private grants, public grants, and sometimes, those grant deadlines, you might apply for a grant now and it's going to be awarded in 6 months, right? So it's
Mm.
not necessarily immediate cash, but I will say that it's a lot easier to generate an additional $2,000, just to throw a random number out there, 2,000, 5,000, $520 to generate additional revenue is a lot easier than it is to cut expenses.
Mm.
Because when you are operating a business, there's the cost of business,
Right.
and sometimes you can't cut costs. And so it's easier to look for money, to find money, than it is to cut costs. And when you have employees to pay and operating expenses to carry, you really don't have a choice, right? So if I ran out of cash, the first thing I would do is look for additional clients, or if I'm selling a product, how can I increase my sales?
Mm.
And looking for additional like funding opportunities through grants, or loans. Everybody's financial outlook looks a little bit different, but those are the first two areas that I would start, would be sales and grants.
I did get a $10,000 grant when I first started my business, and I was able to put that into marketing and buying some equipment. But you got to move fast on it. It was like one morning, it was something that came on TV in Nevada. They were giving out grants, and like literally within a couple hours, I was looking into it and applying for it. And I was able to get that $10,000. They don't ask for, anything from you, no application fee, and it helps. So it is out there, but if you don't apply, then you're not going to get it. And if you don't know how to apply, there's plenty of companies or people that specialize in it. Also, the biggest, the cheapest, most effective, free, I mean, it's free, is social media. Groups on Facebook, they got groups, and you need to figure out who are you selling to, who is your audience, and you need to reach out to them. You know what I mean? And this is free. So having just giving information, educating people about your product, or not even just trying to sell them, but just educating them, just kind of like, talking about it, having your flyers. I mean, there's a lot of cheap ways where you're going to have to put some footwork into, but that's the only way you're going to get clients.
Well, and attending some of these like forums and public groups and networking groups that exist in our communities already, for us to support one another, right? So if I have an opportunity, if it is something that I'm already doing, but I have an opportunity to give my money to a complete stranger, or to give it to somebody that I know and love, I'm going to go with a person that I know and love.
Right.
That is something that I'm very true to. Like if I need a home repair, I'm not just, doing a Google search. I have friends that I know that either work in that space or own companies, where I'm calling them first. Right.
Also, I mean, I don't know about you, but they passed a law that, people do not have to have a license to sell on the street. If there is a food that you know how to make, or if there is, if there's something that you enjoy doing, a craft that you could do, start with that. I see people making money off of crocheting, and where I live, I see there's Spanish people, they have the golf carts, and they literally turn this little golf cart into a store. I see people making money off of lumpia. There's a lady on one of the Facebook groups, she has a lot of kids, or a lot of
Christmas time, the tamales.
Yeah, tamales. There is no excuse, period. I see people literally, I seen one guy, he was selling potatoes. He was, people were sending potatoes randomly to people. So, and he was making crazy money off of selling potatoes. Another couple, they were freeze drying food that you already buy, just freeze drying it. and making money off because once you freeze dry it, it can last up to 20 years, you know. Those kits alone cost like $500 for freeze dry food. And it ain't even really a lot of food. It's just a
Yeah.
bucket. But I mean, you just got to think about what you enjoy doing, what you're good at. And don't think about the competition, you know?
No, I always, so in the beginning, I always used to think like, why would they pick me over somebody else? Right. And then I got to the point where I was like, why wouldn't they?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
when somebody works with me, they get all of me. I'm not really good at boundaries and compartmentalizing my life, you know? So when someone chooses to work with me, they get all of me. And to a fault too, because at times, you know, I've had clients calling me at 10 o'clock at night and I'm still going to answer the phone.
Right.
You know, I have a business phone, but most of the people that I work with are calling my personal number.
Right.
And so I started to think like there's 6 billion people on the planet. There's more than enough business for all of us.
Yes.
And even if I meet somebody else who does the same thing that I do, I always think it's a great opportunity.
You cannot, because even here, spas, my competition is plastic surgeons, dermatologists, casinos, and spas. I mean, I have a very big competition, but what makes me different is I found things that I enjoy doing with the treatments, like microneedling or skin tightening. There's things that I do that a lot of people don't offer that I've really homed in on and became good at it. So when people call me, they know they're going to get a good treatment. They know that it works because, you know, that's something that I specialize in.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find what you enjoy doing, because if you don't enjoy doing it, if you don't have a passion for it, it's not going to happen. It will only last for a little bit. You know, you'll get burnt out very quickly.
Yeah. In my real estate business in specific, I have been able to be in business for the last 14 years solely on referrals.
Yeah.
Like having done
awesome.
absolutely no marketing, because sometimes people will come to me and they're like, oh, I worked with somebody in the past who was this or who was that. And I actually had a client recently that asked, well, what if we change our mind and decide we don't want to sell our house? I'm like, then we take it off the market. Right. But there are agents who would be like, no, you signed a 6-month contract. You have to stay in it.
Yeah.
And I don't believe, that's just not my business model.
Right.
Like whether it's in with my marketing clients or my real estate clients, however it looks, I am always very much, if you don't want to work with me, I'm not going to hold you hostage.
Right. Well, even when you first started doing real estate, how did you get that business? You know, how did you get those good reviews or those referrals, you know, for people to say, man, this person was good, I'm going to refer him. Like, how did you do it?
So for me, it was just, I wanted to be for them what I wanted somebody to be for me.
Yeah. And that's how I feel. Yeah, that's exactly how
and I never wanted somebody to come to me and feel like I overcharged them or took advantage of them, or that I sold them a house because the commission was higher versus another house that they liked more.
Right.
If we're going into a home inspection or something and there's something that they really don't like, then I'm going to advocate for them.
And even with me, my reviews, like when I first started, I happened to get a couple Yelp, they were like special Yelp reviewers. I had never heard of this.
Oh,
yeah, they were like either. Elite Yelp. I don't know.
Because they probably do so many reviews that they have like a elite status.
Yes, I had no idea they had this, but I did. I had a couple of people that were like major reviewers, and they gave me like 5 stars, and it really did. It does boost your business. You know, I treated every person like I would want to be treated, not like, oh, let me rush them out of here and just get the money, because those reviews make my business for what it is today. That work that I put in at the beginning, I am still eating off that, because the first thing that people say that haven't came to my business is, wow, your reviews are great. And don't get me wrong, because you will meet those people that are professional reviewers and will try to sabotage you. and I've seen it not just with me, but with other people.
And sometimes it's not even intentional, right? You get some people that are very, very meticulous,
Oh man.
and there is nothing that you can do that will satisfy them. And that's their personality,
Right.
and they're going to leave whatever type of review they're going to leave.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, if most of your reviews are on that higher end, and I'll say that, the average out of everybody who only about 10% of people actually leave reviews,
Right.
but 93% of us read them
Yes.
before making a decision. And I have literally hotels. I'm a hotel snob. Okay. I cannot just lay my head anywhere. That's just not going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
There are some brands that I support that I could be like seeking sponsorship from, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
I stick true. I'm a
Yeah.
creature of habit, right? But I have not stayed in hotels because I've read reviews.
Yeah. Yeah. Or restaurants. I haven't eaten there, or or schools. Like, I mean, reviews are very, very important. So take those very seriously, because you could sabotage your business by not giving the service that that people expect.
Mhm.
But yeah, I have come across, my reviews are pretty high, but I have come across some people that you could tell they're like looking for something to write a review about,
Mhm.
and all you could do is kill them with kindness. I mean, that's what I do, you know.
And the experience, because there have been some new places that I've tried and that I'm like, oh my gosh, this place is amazing.
Mm,
And they have no reviews.
right, yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, let's help them out. Like, let's
Right,
give a
that's
review.
nice. Yeah.
Now, I didn't always used to be like that. I was
Uh-huh.
like, I'm not putting my information out there. I don't want people to know that I reviewed this. But one of my sister-in-laws, she is probably the kindest, most diplomatic person that I know. And she is very big on like leaving a review.
Mhm.
And especially if it's like a small business or it's minority
Yeah,
owned or
yeah.
woman owned, she's like really big on
Yeah.
supporting that. And so she's really taught me to be a little bit more generous with my
Yes.
reviews.
Yeah, reviews are definitely very important. But like I said, you cannot make everybody happy. Don't be hard on yourself because somebody had a bad day and they, expected the world and you couldn't give it to them. I mean, all you could do is your best.
Well, and I think as a business owner, the importance of being able to pivot and not dwell on things is really important because you're going to have bad days, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to have failures, but it's how you recover and what you learn in those moments that really makes a lasting impact.
I agree. I mean, if you're not failing and making mistakes, then you're not learning. That's
Mhm.
it. I mean, it is not good. And if it is too smooth, then you got to wonder, why it just doesn't go smooth like that, especially at the beginning. Um, but that's just part of business. If you don't try, then how are you going to make it? You have to try. And some people, like I said, are just not they're not business owners. They like to work for people, and that's okay too. But now in today's day and age, you got to have a couple ways of making money if
Well,
you want to get ahead.
and everybody's motivation is different, right?
Yes, yeah.
For years, a big thing for me was having the safety and security for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I don't want safety and security now, but it's changed. I
Yeah.
now have the ability to provide that for my family instead of having to have an employer that provides that for me so I can provide that for them.
Right.
And it's all kind of baby steps and motivation. I have a really, really good friend who she likes the fact that at the end of the day, she's done.
Right.
I've done my job. Don't call me. Don't text me.
Yeah.
Don't. So she has zero interest in ever being a business owner
Right,
because
right.
she's not trying to work nights and
Yeah,
weekends.
some people are just not like that. Most of my friends are not business owners. They will rather work for somebody, or and to each his own. Whatever makes you comfortable. But as being a single mom and not wanting to miss, my child growing up, I had to do this. It works for me. I couldn't imagine having to call somebody every time my daughter's sick, and the chance of you getting fired because your kid is sick because you got to put him in. It's a lot,
It is a lot.
But if you have something that you enjoy doing, and you have a passion for, you could turn that into a business. There is a way. I see people making money off stickers. I see people making money.
Oh my gosh, the pimple patches.
Oh my God.
The kids sell them at school.
Girl, have you seen how much they make on Amazon? It's crazy.
Oh, I know how much I've spent on them.
Yes.
But kids sell them at school and have like a whole little business. They sell candy.
Yeah.
Yes. They hustle their parents for candy.
Yes.
And then they sell it at school to make their extra money.
Or even digital products. You make one digital product. If there's something that you could teach somebody and you make it, all you have to do is make it one time and put that on, a free website. I mean, a free thing where you don't even have to charge to be able to sell it, but just advertising that every day for free, explaining about your digital product. I mean, there is always a way.
Look at Ryan's Mystery World, right?
Oh God, yeah.
The kid's like 10.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that ballpark. He might be a little bit older now. Who knows? But like they made millions.
Oh, they still
just by making videos of him playing in the living room with his parents.
Yeah.
And then now I have spent hundreds of dollars on those toys, and those pieces are flying all over my house. Those tiny little Ryan's Mystery World toys.
And now it's their
everywhere.
sisters. Now
his sister now. But who would have thought like the power of the internet, right?
Girl. I mean, even I don't know if you heard of Diana and Roma. It was a brother and sister, and then they have another little brother. But I went back because my daughter was so into this, and I seen them making all this money. So I went back to the beginning of where they first started recording her. And it was like in a really small apartment with the worst wallpaper. I'm like, you could tell it was a total. Now compare it, they're like in these mansions, and they're like, all they do is open up toys. They're on Disney, they're on Amazon. I mean, they blew up just living their life.
Yeah,
living their life. That's it. And I mean, it's a lot of people that are making money like that, just being them. And you don't have to be glamorous, because I see a lot of people with disformities, like people with no arms or no hands, and they're showing you, this is how I'm living. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got to just find what your passion is, and just there's all types of ways of making
I would
money.
venture out to say, I don't know this to be true. I don't know this to be a fact. I don't know the statistic, but I would venture to say that the internet and the access has probably decreased like the revenue share for like being paparazzi, right? They used to be able to sell these pictures. I remember as a teenager. So I was huge, like NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys was like my era. And Carla, her mom, was like the real MVP. She was the mom who would take all of us screaming little girls to these concerts, and she'd be sitting there with her book light and her earplugs. And we'd always con her into letting us stay at MGM, because that's usually the Grand Garden Arena was where they always came. And we would literally sleep in the hotel lobby waiting for a celebrity to pass by.
Really?
Yes.
Aww.
But now with the power of the internet, it's like, who even does that anymore?
Right.
They have their own YouTube channels and Instagram accounts, and they go live all the time. So you really don't need to catch some candid photo of them, because most of us know what the inside of their house looks like, right?
Or even playing the video games. A lot of people are making money off of
T-Pain.
Twitch and playing video games. So if that's your passion, set up a channel. Like figure out, like that's the only way you're going to be successful, is if you're actually making money doing what you like. That's how I look at it. That's success to me.
Do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't say that. Somebody else did.
But, I mean, I've seen even on eBay, I think it was Kanye had a concert, and somebody put some air in a bag and was like, oh, this is air from Kanye West's concert. Or there was, remember the drone that actually they went up to Drake's apartment building?
Yes.
And Drake threw his flip-flop?
Yeah.
Well, I guess somebody found that flip-flop. They went to that area, found the flip flop.
Of course they did.
And they put it on eBay for $5,000. I swear.
And somebody actually paid for that?
Yes. I'm not trying to be gross or nothing, but what about the lady that was selling her farts? She made like $50,000 putting farts in a jar. And I mean, but it actually,
that's so disgusting.
I mean, it is, but
there's a market for everything.
There's a market for everything.
Let's not judge. We listen and we don't judge.
I mean, it's crazy. This stuff that I see, I'm like, wow, they made money off that. I mean, so you just got to really dig deep and figure out what you want to make money with. And there's always a lot of different ways that you can make money with that one thing.
Yeah, you just have to commit to it. Because with anything, like, it's really easy to get discouraged.
It really is.
Especially when you're first starting out and you're like, you see your bank balance going down and down and down. And then you're like, did I make the right decision? But I think anything that you really like stick with. Mm-hmm. And I think, so my own business consultant, one of the things he said to me was like, not all low hanging fruit is your fruit. You got to say like, this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm going for. This is my business model, and mute out everything else around you, because a hustler never leaves the street corner. You can't do everything.
Right. I do know a lady, she was doing hair when I first met her, but she would cook on her Facebook. And a lot of people were like, wow, you cooking is great. And so she decided to come out with her own spices. So we're like 2 years later, she makes over $10,000 to $15,000 a month selling spices. Now, there's a lot of spices in this world. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, what makes her spice so special? But she's out there. She's talking to them. She's giving samples. She's showing what her spices do. And like, she's very happy. She's meeting all these people and she's selling something that she enjoys doing. And I told her, like, hey, why don't you do an ebook? Because she does cook. Like, I mean, like I said, she can make so much money just from that one, from just having the spices.
I think having the passion and being happy and being like approachable also, because, if someone's sitting there with an RBF, like, you really don't.
Right.
You're like, okay, yeah, I'm not following you.
Yeah, exactly. So, me personally, like I said, I my passion is having healthy products, whether it's food or just the stuff that we use on our hair and body, because of all the chemicals. I mean, I was introduced to that app called Yuka. And like I said, when I started scanning things, it was a huge eye opener, and it wasn't, when you go in a store, you're looking at things thinking they're organic, but they're horrible for you, and without that app, how would I have known? Because I don't know what that stuff means. Mm-hmm. So my passion is to just be healthier and have healthier products and live healthier and just, so that's where I'm at right now. Okay. And that's why I'm excited about what we're doing, because these products are actually really good for you.
They are.
Yeah.
On our next episode, we'll update them a little bit more on some of the exciting stuff that we've got going on.
Yeah.
So if you like something that you heard, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. Yes. We're here every single week, Wednesdays at 8 a.m. So I am one of your hosts, Priscilla Scott.
And I'm Diane Desio.
And we'll see you soon.
See you soon.